If only they knew why she sat on the heads of children. Ogbuaku screamed. Her scream casted the spell at the night, that no eyes in Ogbacha knew sleep that night. The gong cried, and the family heads were summoned that night. Ogbuaku, hair unkempt and wrapper trailing the dust, stormed into the village square that night and fell head down. She beat her chest. She wailed like an Ogbanje rejected by the underworld. She killed my son. She killed my only child. Her backside is soaked with the blood of Nwanyilusiaogu, my son. And the elders gathered, disturbed by the strange outburst. Who? They all asked in chorus. Welcome to Ideka African Folktales. Here we dish interesting latest African folktales and stories. Please remember to like our story and drop your views. Sit back and enjoy this story. In many parts of Igbo land, and indeed across different cultures around the world, one of the first things people expect from a newly married woman is to get pregnant, and quickly. Barely a few months into the marriage, tongues begin to wag. Whispers rise like smoke. You will begin to hear talks like this. Has she taken in yet? Is there any sign of pregnancy? Kedu ka ụmụaka mee? How far with the children now? These innocent sounding questions often dig deep into the heart of the couples, especially the woman. The pressure mounts. Judgments are made, and in many homes tension builds, not from lack of love, but from lack of cry in the night, the cry of a baby. Some women, desperate to hide the shame of childlessness, tie bundles of clothes under their clothes to fake pregnancy, just to escape judgmental stares. Others go from one spiritualist to another, trying anything in the name of finding a solution. Some even resort to bizarre rituals, drinking concoctions made of strange leaves or animal parts, all in pursuit of a child. They would rather do something, anything, than endure the pity and the gossip. And this was the world Ogbuaku lived in. She had been married to Obiora for 18 years. 18 long years, and still not a single child. She had cried to the skies. She had dug her hands into the soil, begging the gods. She had walked through forests, marketplaces, and shrines, but her womb remained empty. Obiora loved his wife deeply. He has stood by her when others mocked her. But even love, when stretched thin for too long, begins to fray. My dear, he once told his wife, you need to stop tormenting yourself. It is God who gives children, not you. And have you not heard? Ogbuaku snapped back, her voice rising in frustration, that when a person believes, their chief personal God will believe too. If I give up, it means even my spirit will give up. She had grown tired of waiting for a miracle. She no longer wanted hope. She wanted results. Ogbuaku had drunk all manner of herbs and concoctions, raw or cooked, sweet and bitter, sour or rotten, all but to no avail. Ogbuaku was even ready to eat her fellow human poo and to drink the urine as long as child will come out. But she had done all of this, but no child came. Quietly, she began visiting native doctors and spiritualists. She didn't tell her husband. She didn't tell anyone even. But her feet wore the dust of countless journeys. When she realized none of the dibias, the traditional healers, had helped, she made up her mind she would serve any deity that would bless her with a child. Even if it meant giving herself fully to the shrine, even if it meant making sacrifices, even if it meant betraying her husband's trust. Because in her mind, one truth echoed louder than all others. A woman without a child has no name in her husband's house. That is all Ogbuaku always had in her mind. The voice spoke to her morning, night. A woman without a child has no name in her husband's house. And so, while Obiora, her husband, still believed they were fighting a spiritual battle together, Ogbuaku had gone far. So far, he didn't even know she had already crossed into something darker. She had gone that far that her back could not be seen. It was on a day like no other day that Ogbuaku started a journey. She staked her entire life on one desperate secret journey. If she had died that day, no one would have known where to find her body or even what had happened to her. It was in the middle of a thunderstorm. She waited for her husband to leave the house before slipping away silently towards the river shrine of Ekpiri. Ekpiri path was treacherous, especially in the rain. Streams surrounded Ekpiri River, and the road that led there was muddy, narrow, and deadly when it stormed. Only those who knew the winding paths could hope to survive the journey. But desperation makes the fearful bold. If the mouth, they say, does not finish the food it is holding, the jaw will never rest. It was so with Ogbuaku. She vowed she would never rest until her belly carried a child of her own. Despite the wind that howled like 1,000 spirits, despite the heavens pouring down in anger, Ogbuaku walked into the storm. She carried a plastic water bottle and the umbrella and a small cloth bag with her. That bag held money and items requested by the mysterious Ezenwai of Ekpiri River. Hope you are ready with the demands of the gods, Ezenwai queried Ogbuaku when she began her incantations. My boss is fully pregnant. Ogbuaku spoke out in desperation to the priestess. Ogbuaku spoke out in desperation to the Ezenwai when she arrived. Before any rituals could begin, the Ezenwai of Ekpiri River looked her in the eyes and asked, "What of your husband?" But Obako scoffed, "He's a fool who cannot help me. Please don't punish me for his ignorance. Help me instead." Ezenwani hesitated, watching the sky crackle with lightning. "Oh, woman, let's be fast. We'll be quick, or else the rain will destroy our offerings and sacrifices." So they rushed the rituals. Incantations were muttered. Blood offerings were made. Obak was given sacred charms, bracelets to wear on her ankles whenever she lay with her husband. And most importantly, she was handed a set of forbidden ritual items, bound in a red cloth, to be buried at a sacred crossroad of three enemies. That is, at the T junction she will make the sacrifice. Obako sprinted back through the storm under the rain, holding tightly to her bundle. The rain pelted like stones on her, but she didn't mind. Mud swallowed her feet. Twice she has fallen down, almost face first into the muck, but she never let go of the items. She said in her mind that she would rather break a leg than to lose any of the items what she was given to, what could be her only chance of motherhood. As she reached the border town near Ekpiri, the place where she will cross to the other town leading to her house, disaster struck. The streams around the town had swelled. There was an overflow from the flood. The place that was once a walkable path was now a roaring flood. The bamboo bridge she used to cross earlier had vanished beneath water. The river hissed, its voice loud like thunder. The flood made this snoring sound as it rushed down the bridge. When you listen, you will be hearing, "Put your foot in, let me swallow you, dip your hand, let me devour you." That was exactly the cry of the flood. Terrified, Obako turned in circles. She was going round and round the flooded river in confusion, trying to find her way around the flooded bridge. She was unable to recognize where she had come from. The once familiar woods now felt haunted. The ground had become a muddy graveyard for careless feet. Her major concern at the moment was the sacred items that were given to her by the Ekpiri goddess. She noticed there were eggs in the items too. She needed to secure them. So she made ropes with the plant leaves and tied the items together, including her umbrella. With force, she threw the items across the flooded bridge at the other boundary, leading to her place. But she saw the worst of horror. A hand like a flood grew from the flooded, roaring bridge and drowned the items into the flood and swallowed it whole. Fear caught Obako. She let out a scream. a loud scream, but she held her lips with her hands. She was also afraid of the lonely path since there was no one at the site. The ritualist might even come and capture her. But Ugbako had not come this far to be fidgeting or to be drowned by a flood. She was not yet ready to back down or give up. She must find a way to return home, alive. Nwa, she muttered, meaning that a lion cannot be lost in a jungle. She said this to encourage herself. Ogbako spotting large tree whose branches stretched across to the far side of the flood. She made her decision. She would climb it and jumped down from the tree. She would jump to the other dry land from the tree. She grabbed the hair tie on her head and tied her bag to her waist. She gritted her teeth and scaled the slippery trunk. Her hands bled. It bruised her palms and nails as she tried to get hold of the wet bark of the big tree. Her legs shook, but she pressed on, determined to survive. I do rather fall and break my bones than fail again, she whispered as she pushed up to the big tree. Just as she was almost across, disaster struck again. She mistakenly stepped on a dry branch and it snapped, broke, bah! With a sickening crack, Ogbako plunged into the cold rolling water. Never! She screamed, arms flailing. Her eyes clamped shut. This is it, she thought. This is how I die. Ogbako closed her two eyes and waited for her last fate, death. But fate, perhaps pitying her, threw her to a shallow end. She crawled out, soaked, trembling, and coughing violently. Then, without hesitation, she sprang up to her feet and ran. She ran without stopping to rest. She ran home. When Ogbako got home, she went to her bed straight. She went to sleep without removing her soak wrappers or even washing off her muddy feet. That night she slept like the dead. Her clothes still muddy, her hands cut, her feet raw. But nothing mattered to her that moment. She did not succeed in that journey, in every journey, but she returned with her head, or so she thought. But Ogbako's journey did not end there. Instead of giving up, the trauma of Ekpiri River journey only made her more determined. She now believed herself chosen, marked by the gods to find a child, no matter the price. It was during her continued quest that she heard the gossip about a mysterious ghost called Unyom, a being known only as Arusi Onyom, the peeping spirit. They said Arusi Onyom never acted without peeping or gazing first. Whenever he was sent on a mission, whether to kill or to bless, it must first of all peep at his victim. The spirit always scares the young women bathing in the river, as they said he peeped at them. It was a mischievous act. This was the next deity Ogbuaku wished to visit. Ogbuaku went to the shrine seeking Onyom. She found its priest, a man with chalk-drawn eyes and a staff made of bone. She begged him, offering money, vowing to do anything. The priest smiled. "You seek a child? Then you must dance the dance of the spirits with me. What you seek is not far. It lies beneath your own feet. If you will follow me into the shadows, your womb will be open." Ogbuaku nodded feverishly, her body bopping like a puppet. She agreed to every term. She bowed, she cried, she stripped her pride at the foot of that dark altar. The priest commanded her to kneel, to chant, to speak every word he said without questioning. Arụsị Oyomo na-enye nwa, na-enye nwa, nwoke na nwaanyị na-enye nwa. Arụsị Oyo na-enye nwa, na-enye onyinye m na-eme ka m na-eme onyinye m na-enyo eyo, na-enyo eyo, na-ada ogwu, na-ada ogwu, onyinye m na-agba agba, na-agba agba, ana m amị amị, na-amị amị, ana m ada ogwu, na-ada ogwu, ana m agba agba, na-agba agba, ana m agba agba, na onyinye m na-ata ata, na-ata ata. Ezemo looked Ogbuaku in the eyes, his voice heavy with sacred certainty. "Woman, what you seek in Sokoto is hidden in your own Shokoto. Woman, the child you cry for up in the heavens has been resting beneath your own feet. You will follow me, you will dance the sacred dance. There is no other path. After tonight, you shall conceive." Ogbuaku nodded like a startled lizard. Her head bowed and rose repeatedly, her headscarf slipping each time. Ezemo instructed her to kneel, left hand pressing into the earth. "You will repeat after me again and dance. You will echo every word. You must not falter. This dance seals the womb to the destiny." "The deity of Oyom grants children," Ogbuaku repeated, "grants children, male and female, grants children. My offering shapes my being, shapes my being. My offering pierced through the veil, through the veil. My offering holds the spell, holds the spell. My offering flows like honey, like honey. My offering dances in circles, in circle. My offering bites in fire, like fire, in fire." As their voices rose and fell in a spiritual crescendo, they mimicked the lizard that dropped from the palm tree. A sigh from the spirits. Their sweat poured like rain on the dry skin, soaking in the earth. When the ritual neared its climax, Ezemo whispered, "Prepare yourself, daughter of longing. Tonight, your womb shall be awakened." The night of Oyom dance was long, strange and filled with unspeakable mysteries. And by the time they ended the song and the dance, Ezemo and Obak were panting like the lizards that fell from the tall tree. When Obak returned home from the shrine, the world around her had not changed. But she has changed. She changed. Her eyes, once full of pleading, now carried a silent authority. Her body, exhausted yet alive, pulsed with a strange heat. Something ancient had entered her, something beyond prayer or reason. But just as Ezemo prophesied, Obako's body began to change 3 months later. Even the goats and the chickens began to eye her strangely, as though recognizing a sacred presence within her belly. Joy overflowed in her life. Joy overflowed in her like palm wine poured too quickly into a calabash. She became a song, dancing to herself even while cooking, humming softly through her chores. Mazi Obiora, her husband, her patient and loving husband, was overjoyed. He served her like a king served a queen, doing both the errands, the one she requested and the one she did not even speak of. His heart overflowed. At least their shame would be lifted. 3 months later, her belly began to swell. At first, she told no one, not even Obiora, her husband. She wanted to be sure. So many false dawns had borne her hope. But when her body began to shift undeniably and her morning sickness refused to leave, she whispered the news into her husband's ear like it was a sacred secret. Obiora wept. For the first time in years, joy spilled freely between them. The neighbors rejoiced. Her in-laws visited. Friends brought gifts. The woman once mocked for her empty womb was now called Norma, meaning the good mother. But in the shadows, something else has taken notice. Obako's pregnancy was not normal. Although it was going very smooth, there were no pains yet, no sickness yet, no complications. But one thing haunted her dreams. There was always a boy around the age of 7, watching her, peeping at her. Sometimes in the daylight, she would see someone peeking at her, but when she lifted her gaze, the boy would disappear. When she was awake or asleep, his gaze followed her like a moon's reflection in a river. When she turned to look, he would disappear. When she blinked, he stood by the doorways, silent still. At 4 months, she began dreaming of mirrors, dozens of them, some clear, some cracked, some filled with fog. In every dream, she saw herself standing before one mirror that never showed her reflection. Instead, it showed her the child, a child already with eyes. Sometimes the child giggled, sometimes it frowned, But worst of all, sometimes the child gazed at her. The child gazed at her with the calm, cold curiosity of a judge. It watched her eat, it watched her sleep, it gazed at her when she tried to pray in the church. It knew. By her 6 months, Ubaku couldn't enter any church building without her stomach twisting in pain. The bells of mass gave her migraines. In fact, she stopped going altogether, telling everyone she was too tired. One day as she was bathing in the stream, a fish swam up to her and circled her belly. It did not flee from her movements. It hovered, washed, and vanished into the current. That night again, her dream returned. But this time, the mirror cracked, and from within, a voice echoed. You called me. You promised me. You gave me your dance. Now you owe me your silence. Owak woke up screaming. Her husband held her, confused, afraid, but she said nothing. She told no one what she saw. Soon rumors began to spread in the village. Some say the child in Obako's womb was not human. Some whispered she had gone to Ndimo, the spirits. Others claimed they had seen her belly move like a wave when she walked alone at night. One particular woman, jealous and drunk on gossip, pointed at her one afternoon and said, "You sure say na pikin dey there so, or na wetin dey show pikin you carry o?" That woman fell ill 2 days later. Her tongue swelled and her voice vanished for a week. And from henceforth, no one in the community mocked Obaku again. Even Obiora, her husband, once filled with love and pride, began to grow fearful. He no longer touched his wife without making the sign of the cross. He no longer slept soundly. And the day Obaku gave birth, the skies over Ogbasha community darkened without a cloud. The thunder rumbled gently like a distant drum. She brought forth a son, a handsome boy who bore the calmness of the ancestors and the mystery of the spirits. His birth shook the whole village. No one could deny that the gods had visited the Obako's womb. He was a handsome child. Even the chief priest of the great shrine raised his hands to the sky in awe, in praise to God for the gift of a wonderful child. A naming ceremony was called after 7 market weeks. When her people asked what she would name her, when her people asked the name to be given to the miracle child, Uwakum walked forward without blinking, declared, "His name shall be called Nwanyilusiaogu." A silence spread like harmattan haze. The name stung like pepper in open wounds. It was a strange and unsettling choice, especially for a male child. It meant battle won by a woman. Omuna from Mazi Sobiora's family muttered disapproval. Women shook their heads in hidden corners. Some whispered that Ubak was mocking her husband's dignity, giving a name that spoke of stubborn rebellion. But Obiora, wise and unwilling to cause strife, nodded gently. The family of Obiora, his proud kindred and their wives, gasped and exchanged looks. To them, the name was an insult, a bold challenge, a mocking tale wrapped in mystery. But Obiora did not think it that way. He was a man of wisdom, a man who had long walked the tightrope of peace. He simply nodded slowly and said, "Afọ ọbụna ọ sọrọ nwa zaa ma ya dị ndụ," meaning, let the child bear any name as far as he's alive. Whatever name he is given, the child must bear his father's name as a surname. Umuna, please allow her. As long as he's alive, I am okay. His surname is Obiora. The land knows he is mine. And so the child was named Nwanyilusiaogu Obiora. From the start, Nwanyilusiaogu was not like other children. He did not play. He did not sing. He only gazed and peeped. He stayed with unsettling stillness, a gaze that pierced through laughter and flesh alike. He gazed and peeped at his parents. He gazed and peeped at the great and the small, just like the Ezemo had won. Meaning the spirit peeps. He gazed and peeped at his parents when they bet. He gazed at strangers and visitors who came to their house until they grew restless and left. And soon people began to talk. They avoided their compound. Neighbors knocked on Obako's door only to complain, whisper and warned about their sons coming to their houses to pick at them in their rooms and while they sat down. Nwanyilusiaogu bent at every event to pick at people sitting down, men and the women. What was a small child seeing under the dresses of the elderly people and the youth? People will always ask. But Obako, ever defiant, would sharpen her tongue and fight back. "Leave my son alone, he's just a child." She will march into homes, challenge elders, and drag her honor through the court of public shame, all to defend her boy. But the whispers never stopped. One day, one quiet night, families have returned from the day's toys to their homes. Kitchens were bubbling with night soups. The stars had hidden behind thick clouds. The wind was asleep. In Mr. Obiora's house, bitterleaf soup pot was making the poto boiling sound. His wife, Obako, was making a new soup for the family. Suddenly, her face changed. She just found out she had run out of soup. She had run out of soup medicine, ogiri. The Igbo adage said ogiri bogo ofe, meaning ogiri is the secret of a delicious soup. Obako's face changed. She stirred the pot and sighed. How could she forget things as important as ogiri? A simple mistake, But then there was no cause for alarm. Nwanyilusiaogu was just living close by. Her ogre was a top notch. So she turned to her son and said, Ogo, Ogo, why? Go and buy ogre from Nwanyilusiaogu for me. That is what is holding this soup. Oh, everything is ready. Now Nwanyilusiaogu was just an ordinary woman. She sells special ogre. For those who do not know what ogre means, it means fermented melon seed or fermented sesame seeds. Her name Nwanyilusiaogu was just because she had bulging eyeballs like that of big house flies. For that, she was referred to as Nwanyilusiaogu. And since she wasn't complaining, he took over her real name. But second to her name was her favorite hobby, making fermented melon ogre. She was also referred to as Nwanyi Ogre. Aside that, she was so large with extreme voluminous backside. So large it was said that 7 children could play hide and seek beneath her wrapper. Because of her size and weight, she barely moved, always seated on her metal moving chair near her veranda, where she stirred her famous ogre into clay pots that smoked of ancient secrets. That night, as the clock of the spirit ticked softly, Nwanyilusiaogu walked into her compound quietly like a ghost. He did not greet her. He did not knock. He did not make any sound. He did not speak. He just slipped in silently, the way a shadow leans to walk without a source. He saw Nwanyilusiaogu sitting carelessly on her chair. He bent and began to gaze at her large meat. But it was dark. He wasn't seeing everything how he wanted it. Nwanyilusiaogu sat hunched, roasting ogiri over the low fire, unaware she was no longer alone. She reached for more firewood and prepared to shift her weight. Nwanyilusiaogu saw this as an opportunity. He removed the woman's seat and replaced her head with it. By now, his full head was now inside her wrapper and her head, the back of her head on the ground as she stood and bent to make fire. That was when it happened. In one smooth movement, Nwanyilusiaogu sat with a force when her legs could not carry her, thinking her seat was still intact. Not on the ground, she sat on him, on the little boy, on the little 5-year-old Nwanyilusiaogu. Nwanyilusiaogu felt sharp pains, but she thought it was her hip bones playing her pranks as usual. She tried to sit well. She sat well, adjusted to fit the weight of her butt, and continued stirring her ogiri on the fire. The warmth of her fire, the scent of the fermenting ogiri, all remained the same. She hummed an old war song softly to herself. She was yet to know what was going on under her. Back home, Ubaku stirred her soup over and over and waited. Minutes passed, then an hour. No footsteps, no return. The Ogiri never came. But Nwanyiogiri's house was just a stone throw from their house. What is the delay now? She thought to herself. Something in her spirit cracked open, like a drum skin split under lightning. She grabbed her wrapper, left the soup boiling, and ran barefoot to Nwanyijiji's hut. "Where is my son?" she asked. Breath. "Where is my son?" she asked, breathless. The woman blinked. "What son?" Ubaku's voice rose. Her eyes searched the compound like a hawk. "He came here to buy ogiri." Nwanyijiiji furrowed her brow. Slowly she pointed at the spot by the fire, where her chair had always stood. "I didn't see or hear anyone, but now that I think of it, when I sat down again after tending the fire, I felt something different. Not pain, just resistance. At first I thought it was a stone. Then I thought it was my hip bones complaining as usual. I didn't know it was your child." Nwanyijiiji stood slowly and longer for the first time in years. Beside the fire, beneath her chair, the body of Nwanyilusiaogu, still warm, his bone twisted like roots, his eyes wide open. He had turned cold. Ubaku screamed into the earth. She had found her son beneath the chair of Nwanyijiiji, crushed quietly by a weight no child should bear. No scream, no cry, just a silent breath, stolen from under a woman's body like mist drawn away by the morning sun. The boy had crept under her throne, his head tilted upward like a serpent waiting to strike. Some whispered that he was trying to peep beneath her folds, her lap. Curious, mischievous, and drawn by the mysterious anatomy of a woman so large, the earth itself seemed to curve beneath her. Whatever the motive, the outcome was death. Ubaku screamed. Her scream casted a spell at the night that no eyes in Ogbacha knew sleep. The gang cried, and the family heads were summoned that night. Ubaku, hair unkempt and wrapper trailing the dust, stormed into the village square that night and fell head down. She beat her chest. She wailed like an Ogbanje rejected by the underworld. "She killed my son. She killed my only child. Her backside is soaked with the blood of Nwanyilusiaogu." The elders gathered, disturbed by the strange outburst. "Who?" They all chorused. And immediately, Nwanyijiiji was summoned. She came in not in shame, but in sadness. She did not deny the allegation. What she told Ubak in her house was the same story she narrated to the elders, but she spoke with trembling lips.
I did not know he was there. He didn't greet me when he entered. He made no sound when he entered my house. He did not greet me or announce his presence. After I stood to ignite the cooking fire, I sat on my chair without looking, but instead I sat heavily on the ground, dislocating my weak hip bones. But I felt something under me initially. When my butt hit the ground, but I thought it was my bones failing me again. I didn't know it was her child under me. Nwanyilusiaogu removed my seat and replaced it with his head and facing up, probably to peep through my legs. I would have saved him, or I would have helped the boy. I didn't intentionally let him die under me, but my hip bones failed me. It dislocated when I sat with force on him. I couldn't stand up on my own until his mother Ubaku arrived my house and came to help me stood up. By then everything had spoiled.
The villagers murmured. They were dazed at Nwanyijiji's story. The elders snapped their fingers severally. Tofiakwa, alo, abomination. Some said, their faces burning with anger. Then Ezediala, the eldest of the council, stood and asked the question none dared to ask. But what was a child of 5 years doing with his head underneath a woman's chair? I say, let me ask, so what madness? What shame? Bam! The voices of elders echoed at his response. Some nodded. Others clucked their tongues. And one woman holding her own son tightly, the women's leader, she spat. This is not just death, it is judgment. A child raised without boundaries, a boy filled with mischief. What was he looking under the skirt of a woman? Obako stood frozen as the tide turned against her. She had come for justice. Instead, she received backlash. What mother lets her child roam in the dark? What kind of woman names her child a war won by a woman? Nwanyilusiaogu was exonerated. They ruled the case an accident and let her go. But they ruled Ubaku guilty of poor parenting. Ubaku, seeing she had lost, she ran out of the village square, grabbing her dead son. That night, when even the moon refused to shine, Ubaku tied her mourning wrapper and took the lonely path to the shrine of Ezemwo Oyom, the gods who have given her the child. Her feet bled from the thorns and the sharp plants on the path. Her breath rattled like dry palm fronds in harmattan. But she did not stop. She reached the shrine, knelt before the altar of ash and feathers, and poured libation with her own tears, and lay her son beside it.
Ezemo, hear me. You gave me this child, a gift you said was sacred. Why then did you take him so brutally? Why not let the gods reclaim him in dignity, not under the weight of a woman's buttocks?
There was no wind, no flicker from the sacred flame, no whisper from the oracle's mask, just silence. Ogbuaku wept louder.
You told me to dance, I danced. You told me to sing, I sang. You told me I had conceived a God child. Now you let a mortal woman sit on him like a stool.
Still silence. Then something snapped in her. She stood, raised her fist towards the sky and screamed, "You are no gods, just liars wearing bones and feathers.
Ezemo, you tricked me. You gave me a curse and called it a child. You will eat his spirit like you ate my sanity."
She tore her wrapper. She spat on the sacred ground. She turned her back on the shrine and walked away, barefoot, wide red-eyed. That was the last night Ogbuaku was seen sane. The villagers did not blame Nwanyilusiaogu. They did not point fingers at the woman whose massive frame had accidentally crushed a curious child beneath her. Instead, they turned to Ogbuaku, and with the cold judgment of a community long fed up with her defiance, they said, "It was not the ugly woman who failed. It was you, Ogbuaku. You who raised a child without sense, without manners, without restraint." No punishment was given, no sacrifices demanded, no cleansing rites were performed. But grief became a spirit with teeth. Was it only grief? No. Nwanyilusiaogu's body was not buried. Obiora went from one clan to the other, sending emissaries to beg his wife to bring back the body of his son so he could be given a befitting burial. But Ogbuaku gave deaf ears. It was a secret only her beard. Nwanyilusiaogu had returned where he came from. It was the part of promise. 1 month after the death of Nwanyilusiaogu, madness crept into Ogbuaku's bone like a slow-burning fever. She began to roam the marketplace, barefoot and ash-stained, her wrapper falling loose, her hair wild like tangled broomsticks. Her voice rose and fell in ghostly chants as she drifted through crowds like a shadow. "Ezemo, you deceive me, you deceive me, you deceive me. Nwanyilusiaogu, come back here, come back here. Alusioyom, give me back my child. Ezemo, you deceive me. Nwanyilusiaogu, come back to me, come back here." The market women dropped their baskets and stared. Children clung to their mothers' legs. Even the men turned their faces away, afraid to meet her eyes. It has been said that from the song or the dance of a madman or a mad woman, you will know where the madness comes from. From the song of Ogbuaku, Everyone in Ogbacha knew Nwanyilusiaogu came from Arusi Oyom. He was a child from the Black Shrine, a peeping god. Rumors had it too that if you look into Ubako's eyes, you will see the spirit of her son looking back, trapped, lost, and screaming without a mouth. She sang her sorrow into the earth. From that day, people avoided Ubako's path. They whispered behind calabash stores and muttered beneath the shade of kola nuts. This one is gone. Grief is chewing her slowly. A gift from the gods has turned against her. Even the rain seemed to avoid her. Ghosts ran from her. Palm fronds shook when she passed by, though the wind was still. Her voice became a song of sorrow and warning. Onyinye arụsị na-enye isi, ọ na-eme isi. A gift from the gods is evil. Onyinye Oyo is evil. Bring head, I'll give you head. Is the head of a child worth the silence of the shrine? I gave birth to thunder and it died under flesh. Ubako sing and murmur wherever she went. I gave birth to thunder and it died under flesh. Some say she began to sleep in an abandoned shrine, coiled where the offering bowls once stood. Others swore they saw her speaking to the trees and licking the earth where her son last walked. And one day, Ubako simply disappeared. She vanished. She melted into invisible ashes. Gone. Some said before she melted away into the air that her hair turned white. Some said she began speaking in strange tongues nobody had ever heard. Others claimed they saw her walking through the market, whispering to the shadows. Nwanyilusiaogu, come out. I have you agree. Come out. Ezemoyo, have mercy on me. Nwanyilusiaogu, forgive me. Oyo spirit, forgive me. Ezemo, have mercy on me. Nwanyilusiaogu, come. Come. That was the song Ubako sang before she vanished. A gift from the dark world indeed may shine, but beware of the shadow it casts. I hope you learn from this story. The lessons from the story. 1. Patience is better than premature answers. Wait for your season. 2. Desperation can blind judgment just as it did for Ubako. The 3rd lesson, there is no shortcut to destiny. The 4th lesson, names have power. Choose yours wisely. The questions from this story you should reflect on. You can kindly drop answers under the comment section. What does this story teach us about the couples who struggle to conceive? What was the emotional state of Mazi Obiora and Ubako after 18 years? In your opinion, in every union, who suffers most in silence when a child never comes? Thank you for listening. Please share our stories. We love you. Bye.